Now 8:47, attorneys in the Johannes Mehserle murder trial are right now going over the questionnaires filled out by 102 potential jurors who have told the judge they are willing and able to serve in this trial. From that group, 12 jurors and 6 alternates will be chosen to decide if Johannes Mehserle is guilty of murder in the shooting of Oscar Grant New Year's Day 2009. A gag order is preventing those attorneys from talking to the press, but it's not preventing legal analyst Royal Oakes from joining us live from Los Angeles to talk about this. Good morning.
Good morning, Claudine.
You know, let's talk about this trial. We've got a few days off so they can go over these questionnaires. I want to talk about the judge, though, because we got a good look at how he's going to run this, at least in part. I have to tell you, at some points he seemed like a second-grade teacher. Other points he seemed like he wasn't going to, take any nonsense in his courtroom. He says he's presided over 600 felony trials. What's your experience with him?
Well, Claudine, Judge Robert Perry is an old-fashioned guy. He believes in family values, and he's not shy about expressing his opinions. He thinks there's far too much divorce in our society. He thinks that stay-at-home moms are best. He has written a book called Witness to the Carnage, Observations of an Inner-City Judge. He has presided over some very high-profile trials here in Los Angeles. The Rampart scandal trial involving police officers who allegedly planted evidence on defendants. So he's been around the block, he's very opinionated, and he's just going to be a very no-nonsense person as this trial proceeds.
Yeah, he said that he wants a quiet and dignified search for the truth. He complimented the attorneys on both sides for being very impressive attorneys. Do you think, there's the one thing they disagree on is how long this is all going to last. He thinks it's all going to end by end of June. The attorneys are saying it's going to go much further. Who do you put your money on as far as the length of this trial?
Well, you think back to that O.J. Simpson murder trial from the 1990s, and it just dragged on for months and months. And so ever since then, judges have really been motivated to try to keep things short, not let the lawyers grandstand. And so I think the judge, in a way, feels his ego is on the line. If it gets out of hand and if it goes too long, people are going to criticize him. So he has made some very important rulings. He said no cameras in the courtroom. He's imposed a gag order. And in that sense, he's really helped the perception of the defense jumping off to an early lead. I guess the first aspect of the early lead is it's in Los Angeles, not in Oakland. A huge victory for the defense to get away from that emotional cauldron that is in Northern California pertaining to this case, but also to tamp down the publicity without the cameras. I think, again, the defense, you have to say, has gotten some breaks early on, in addition to the fact, key ruling recently by this judge when he said that an expert for the defense may testify frame by frame, breaking down that video, and also he's going to allow the jury to hear about how Oscar Grant allegedly resisted arrest in the past. So again, some early advantages for the defense.
Those were some pretty dramatic days in court. I know sitting there we got some gas from Grant's family and friends, especially when that video expert was testifying. I do want to ask you about this questionnaire because that's obviously what's going on right now. 15 pages, 120 some odd questions. What do you think they're really honing in on, and what do you think we're going to see when this all goes back to court on Tuesday?
You know, Claudine, it's so tough. Basically, we need a polygraph machine for every juror, but we're not quite there yet. Because other than that, you can't read minds. You can't know who's a stealth juror, who's in there. Maybe they want to sell a book idea or a movie idea. That has happened in the Robert Blake cases and the O.J. Simpson cases. And so the judge somehow, with these hundreds of questions, has to try to figure out who's lying when they say, oh, no, I can be fair. Again, you think back to the O.J. Simpson robbery trial in Vegas a year or two ago. 5 of the 12 jurors who wound up on that panel admitted, we think O.J. was a double murderer who got away with it, and yet they convinced the judge they could be fair. So the challenge here is for this judge to look these jurors in the eye and figure out which ones are really going to be fair and which ones are just saying they can listen to with an open mind, but actually have very strong opinions, either pro-prosecution or pro-defense.
And we know L.A. County is going to also be doing background checks on them, which will be very interesting. Royal Oakes, that's all we have the time right now, but I know we'll be talking to you lots. I'm heading down to L.A. next week, and I know we'll see each other and be talking lots about this trial. So I certainly thank you for your time this morning.
You bet.
All right, time now is 8:52. Let's head back to Tori.